So if you don't know this already, on Wednesday nights I lead a men's Bible study class. Currently we are going through the book of Hebrews, and last night we looked at chapter 11. Something stood out to me that I wanted to highlight for you today. In Hebrews 11:8 we read, "By faith Abraham, when he was called, obeyed and set out for a place that he was going to receive as an inheritance. He went out even though he did not know where he was going." Now, as we look at this passage and we see Abraham's faith remembered, it's interesting because if you go back to the book of Genesis, if you look at Genesis and even Acts, we see that initially Abraham only partially obeyed. Abraham only went part of the way there. It was later that Abraham fully obeyed and went to where God was going. And yet here we are all these years later when the book of Hebrews was written, and Abraham's partial obedience is not mentioned. His disobedience is not mentioned. What's mentioned is his faith. Now, why is this significant? Why does this matter for you and for me? Because I don't know about you, but I know in my life there have been times where I have disobeyed God. There's been times in my life where I have partially obeyed God. But the good news for us is that when we turn from our disobedience, even when we turn from our partial obedience, and when we turn to God in faith, it's not our disobedience that's remembered. It's not our partial obedience that's remembered. Instead, it is our faith that God sees. What a great reminder for us. Because I don't know about you, but I think we can become trapped by our disobedience at times. We can feel like God has no use for us anymore. Like God has to be done with us now because of our disobedience, or maybe even our partial obedience. But I would encourage you, if you're in that place of disobedience or partial obedience, turn from that. Turn to God in faith. Turn to Christ in faith. And let it not be your disobedience that is remembered, but your faith that is seen. God actually talks about when we come to Him in faith, when we turn from our sins are remembered no more. He no longer holds those things against us. Don't let your disobedience, or even your past disobedience, your past partial obedience, don't let that hold you back. Instead, walk in faith today. Walk in obedience today. That is the blessing that we have because of Christ. We can walk in faith. We can trust God in faith. And we can allow for God to use us for His glory and for His purposes even today. In spite of our past, in spite of our failures, because of Christ and because of the grace of God, we can walk in faith today, and it is our faith that will be seen.